and we'll send you an email when you have the ability to get the online version. Also, I'd like to share a little bit about me so that you know who it is that you're talking to today, or who's talking to you today. So my name is Heidi Heron, as I said before, and this is me and two of my nieces. I have a plethora of nieces and nephews. I don't have any children of my own, but these are two of my nieces. I have three nieces and two nephews and one brother. He just happens to know how to make these little people very well. They're a bundle of joy. I work with the Worldwide Institutes of NLP. I'm one of the principal trainers, along with my colleague Lorelei Blythe. Lorelei started the institutes in 1994, and her NLP experience started in 1983. So within Australia, which is where we're based, Lorelei is one of our old-time NLPers, and the Australasian Institute of NLP, based in Sydney, is actually one of the oldest NLP training institutes in Australia, having started in 1994. I myself started my NLP journey officially in about 1997, and I was utilizing the skills in the corporate world for quite a number of years. Well, about 3 years, and in the year 2000 I jumped corporate ship and started my own private practice where I utilized the skills of NLP in a coaching and therapeutic way. And I'll talk about the difference today between coaching and therapy. I also am, at the same time, started co-training NLP, and for the past 11 years have been doing both full-time NLP certification training as well as working with clients in my private practice in Sydney. When I'm working with clients, it's all kinds of different issues and things from enhancement to problems to change to where am I going to who am I. I work with people face-to-face, on the phone, via Skype, via email. It's an absolutely wonderful thing to be able to have the skills to be able to help people. How I got into the coaching and therapy scene is quite interesting. I did my undergrad degrees in psychology and learned from the degree in psychology that I did not want to do traditional psychology, because what I found and what I learned is how to keep people in the loop of the problem, but not actually how to help them get out of the problem. There was a lot of talking about, where were you and how did you have this, and a lot of coping strategies. Now, I love to learn, so I've gone on to do my doctorate in psychology. So I hold a doctorate in psychology. And I have to say that I do not utilize those skills. I completed my doctorate a year ago. So for 10 years I was doing my NLP therapy without, any of that, the psychology stuff, technical term. Yeah, I had done my undergrad degree in psychology, but still I didn't know how to help people utilizing those skills and tools. And I'm a big advocate of learning, but not necessarily learning to utilize the skills of psychology to use them with people. Because again, a lot of the times, if I'm helping somebody just from a psychological point of view, with the psych degree, then I'm really diagnosing. And that's what I was taught as a doctor of psychology, is really how to diagnose a problem and then how to explain that problem well enough to help somebody cope through it, but not actually to get to the other side of it. That's what I love about NLP and NLP coaching and therapy, is that I'm actually empowering people to be and do better. So this NLP stuff, when we're working with it as a therapeutic and coaching tool, it really is like putting together a puzzle. There's not a one-size-fits-all. My general description or explanation of NLP is it's understanding how the language of the mind creates and affects the patterns or programs that we use in life. We've got patterns for everything. How we fall in love, how we fall asleep, how we don't, how we get motivated or how we procrastinate, how we keep a job, how we get dressed. Absolutely everything we have a pattern for, a program for. Just like a computer has programs, a person has programs too. Now, when we can figure out how those programs work, how they're created, not when or why they were created, although sometimes that's interesting information and sometimes useful, but it's more how the program works, that we can enhance a program. If it's working well, we can make it work better. We can change it to make it work better, or change it so that it's not a bad program. If I have a procrastination program that I use most of the time, I can change that into a motivation one. If I have a negative self-talk pattern, I can change that or even eliminate that. And I can also create new patterns. Just about everything in life is relearnable, which is, the programming part of NLP. So today what I'm going to be talking about is the differences between coaching and therapy and how we can utilize the skills of NLP in this therapeutic realm. So let's have a look at different kinds of coaching. I see coaching as three possible areas, and definitely there could be more than just this. Life coaching, business coaching, and psychological and emotional coaching, which is probably best called therapy. When I am utilizing more of the coaching skills, so life coaching, business coaching, executive coaching, I might be assisting a person to increase their motivation, to develop some new skills, or to achieve a goal. And that might be business, personal, health, finance, wealth, relationship. I differentiate coaching from a perspective of motivation, skill development, and goal and achievement if there's something specific that I'm working towards with the person. If they have a specific goal about where they want to be, a specific business goal, I want to increase my sales, I want to start a new business, I want to buy a business. Personal might be buying a house or getting to a certain goal weight or anything with an end goal. If it's skill development, I don't have to know how to do that per se because I'm not actually teaching. As the coach, I have a coaching hat on, not a teaching hat. So I have coached people to be better golf players. Now, I've hit a couple of golf balls, but the majority of golf balls I've hit were with left-handed clubs because my boyfriend at the time was left-handed and I'm right-handed. But I have coached people to be better golf players. I don't need to know how to do it, but I do need to have the trust in my client that they can do it. If I'm working on more of the therapeutic side of things, I'm working with more emotionally based issues. This might be psychological or mental health issues like depression or anxiety. It might be physical health issues like aches and pains or reproductive issues or chronic fatigue. From a physical standpoint, I imagine if it's possible with health, I've probably worked with it with NLP. A few months ago in a practitioner certification training, I was talking about health and helping people with, headaches and backaches and chronic fatigue syndrome and female monthly pains. And this one person raised her hand and she said, "What are you talking about? NLP is a communication tool. It helps you be better at other things. How in the world can NLP help with health issues?" And it's actually quite simple because the mind and body are connected and therefore affect each other. So if there's something going on physically, we can utilize the mind to understand it and change it. From a therapy base, I'm also working with things like stuckness or uncontrollable emotions, like anger or sadness or fear, also grief and loss or communication issues or just general life enhancement. It's not all problems that you work with as a therapist. In fact, some of my favorite clients are the ones that come in and say, "Look, I've heard that NLP can help me be better." A couple weeks ago, I met a gentleman. He's a new client, a couple weeks into it now. And he came into the office and I said, what can I help you with? Which is my very first question that I ask somebody, or what brings you here? And he said that he had been to a workshop and they said that if people are just living, that everybody has a potential to live up to and that there was an extra little bit that they could go, that each and every one of us has that ability to go past our potential. And he said, "Look, I'm successful in business, in relationships, in finance. I'm good. But if I can be more successful, I want some of that. I want some of that too." Another example, a lady came in, she was probably about 75 or so, and when I asked her, "What can I help you with?" she said, "Well, I would like to be unreasonably happy." And I said, unreasonably happy, what is that? And she said, it means happy for no reason. And I went, yeah, I want some of that. You know, happy for no reason. How cool is that? Now, in her life, she was doing well. You know, things were really going well for her, but she wanted even more. So NLP, from a therapeutic standpoint, not just stuff that's bad or wrong. Sometimes it's just enhancing things. Now, from both the coaching and the therapy side, I'm going to use the word coaching interchangeably today for both of these things. When I'm working with my clients, nowadays, you know, 11 years on, I'm working with people on average about 4 to 6 one-hour visits. In the very beginning when I started, I was still trying to figure out how it all fits together, because it is like a puzzle. It's putting the pieces together. And I was working with people between about 8 to 12 one-hour sessions. So as my skills got better, I actually, you know, halved the time that I work with people, because now I'm working with the patterns that they're presenting, and I'm much better at identifying a pattern of behavior, a pattern of thought, or a pattern of emotion that might need to be built or cleared. We'll talk about that in a little bit. It's an amazing ability, skill, I would say, to be able to help people. In the world of NLP, there are literally thousands of, probably hundreds of thousands really, of people that are trained in NLP. And thousands of those people work with individuals and couples and families and businesses as coaches, as therapists. Now, it's a very self-regulating industry. There's some people that aren't very good at it, mainly because they might not be good at the business side of it. There's a few people that think that NLP is a get-rich-quick kind of scheme or business, and that you can become an NLPer and automatically make 6 figures. And I'm very happy to say that that's not possible in the short term. You can make a very good living as an NLP practitioner, as an NLP therapist or coach. It is not by any means a get-rich-quick scheme, and it is not by any means a quick fix. And I'm going to bring that up first and foremost. A lot of NLP training schools sell their trainings based on you can make, you know, X number of dollars based on your skills. First and foremost, when I train NLP, I'm training to the people. So if you, for example, were in the NLP course, or if you have done an NLP course, it's first and foremost for you, because you're learning these skills and how to utilize them in your own life, and then how to utilize them with other people. First and foremost, apply to self and then others, so we can be better. Better in ourselves helps us to have a better life, helps us to help people in a better way. Some of the tools that we have as coaches, we have the ability to build rapport, and NLP contains wonderful rapport building skills. The founders of NLP, Richard Bandler and John Grinder, as well as a team of about a dozen people, all based in California in the early 70s, worked with a variety of therapists to figure out what did they do so well. And a few of the things that they did so well were some of these things that are written on the screen. They built rapport. That's that connection with another person. And then this group of beginning NLPers, the people that started it, I had a better word for it, but it escaped my mind, studied how did they build rapport, and they came up with some very simple techniques to build rapport very quickly, very substantially, and we start all of our coaching sessions building that level of rapport. Even having self-rapport is important. If I don't have rapport with myself, if I'm sitting down with a client, if I don't have rapport with myself or what I'm about to do, then something's not quite right. Also, these therapists that they were modeling found out where their client was right now, and also where they wanted to be, their desired state. And that's very key within any coaching work. It's not just From a psychological perspective, we're looking at the present state. You know, where are you? Why are you stuck? How did you get there? What are you doing about it? Without a whole lot of look or idea about desired state of where you want to go. Some coaching without NLP, if you've done any coaching courses or have looked into them or are thinking about a coaching course, traditional coaching courses like the Results or the Success in You or the Heart Coaching, or there's a bunch of them out there, they look at basically where do you want to go? And they're not really looking at where are you at now. And there's a lot of cheerleading that happens and a lot of goal setting that happens. But what most coaching courses don't include, if they don't include NLP, is actually the middle part that helps you get from your present state to your desired state, which are the NLP techniques. The therapists also that the founders of NLP studied asked questions. They didn't talk a whole lot. They didn't tell. They didn't pretend they knew the answers. They asked questions. In NLP land, we call this the meta model. Meta is a Greek word that means beyond the model. Each of us have a model of our world that we live in. This is our truth, our reality. And when we can ask questions, these meta model questions, we go beyond our model, beyond our reality, and find out more. The therapists also listened, but they listened with more than just their ears. They utilized also metaphors or stories to share and to teach and to help reframe, to let their clients see something from a different perspective. And from all of this, NLP was created, and we have a variety of NLP techniques, which we'll chat about tonight, that are in our toolbox as a coach. I'd like to give you an example of something to keep in mind if you are a coach, if you want to be a coach, if you are a friend, if you have children, anything that you're helping somebody else with or yourself, is that every single person has a different reason for their patterns. And there's not a one-size-fits-all approach. I'm a clinical supervisor as well, so I work with a lot of NLPers and a lot of counselors as a supervisor, helping them with their clients. And the number of times that I get asked, you know, I have a client, this is my client's problem, what should I do? And my answer is always, I don't know. It depends on the person. It depends on where they're at now, where they're going, what's standing in their way. Every single person is different. And I think that that's such an important thing. My job as a coach is not to solve somebody's problem. It's to get out of my own way to help my client find their solution to their problem. On LinkedIn, I'm in a number of groups on LinkedIn, and I saw this the other day on LinkedIn. On one of the NLP groups, a person had a question. This was their question: I have a client with a stuttering problem. Any techniques that you'd recommend? And there were all kinds of things that really weren't helpful. I found this answer quite interesting. So again, this is what the person said: I have a client with a stuttering problem. Any techniques you recommend? One of the people that responded said it will stem from an initial sensitizing event, usually bullying or abuse, either themselves or within the family, or the loss of someone close to them when they were young, a parent, grandparent, divorce, etc. Or they simply began stuttering because one of their parents or siblings stuttering, a learned behavior pattern. Bam. I don't know why. And for somebody to actually say, you know, that stuttering problem started because they were abused, or they were bullied, or they lost somebody, is a complete guess. It's a mind read. It's a hallucination. It's a possibility. As a coach, I always start with an I don't know frame. I don't know. I don't know anything. But starting with that I don't know frame, I can ask questions. I can ask questions to find out more information. When I ask questions, I'm actually communicating with a person's unconscious mind. So we've got our conscious mind and our unconscious mind. The conscious mind is our thinking, analytical, reasoning mind. It's that part of our mind that knows that today is today, not yesterday or tomorrow. It thinks, it analyzes, it reasons. It's the part of our mind that asks why. Why did this happen? Why did that happen? Yet that's not the part of our mind that knows a whole lot. Our unconscious mind, that's the subconscious or the non-conscious mind it's also called. I don't like that one too much. It makes me feel like I need to be laying on the ground, passed out. But the unconscious mind, which is the terminology that NLP utilizes most, is where everything is stored. It takes up about makes up about 90% of your mind, the unconscious mind. And of this unconscious mind, this is where all of your patterns are created and stored, where your emotions are stored, where your emotions were created, where your memories are stored. Every single memory you've ever had is stored in your unconscious mind. The questioning tools, so with NLP, the tools that I'm utilizing for questions is rapport and meta model and meta questions to find out more information. And they're not logical questions. It's not, why did you do this? It's, questions like, well, what would happen if this happened? Or how specifically do you know this? Or according to whom? Or, what do you believe about this? Or what's important to you about something? The questions are digging deeper and wider so that we get a better understanding about a person. Because if I walk in with an I don't know frame, then it's my job to find out, to ask questions, to not assume something, to not just say, okay, you're stuttering, you must have lost somebody when you were young. In fact, when I hear that or read that, as a professional NLPer, it kind of irks me. It kind of makes me a little bit angry, because to me, that says that with their clients, they are putting their own model of the world onto somebody. They're going in with an I know how to solve your problem, which is not NLP. NLP, again, is helping to empower somebody to find their own answers. And you can do that by asking lots of questions. You can also do this by listening with more than just your ears. By the way, if you have questions at any time, there is a little question box that you can type in a question. It'll show up on my computer screen. So if you have any questions or just want to say hi at any point in time, just type it in there and I'll see it. So let's get back to here. Listening with more than your ears. So many people think that listening is just about hearing. Listening is more than that. We can hear more of what's being said by watching somebody's physiology. That's how they're holding their body. That's the muscle tension. Are they clenching their jaw? Have they just, made a fist? Did they relax? Are they holding their breath? Did they lean forward? Are they leaning back? Is their leg tapping? The tonality, what is their tonality like? Are they having a high pitch? Are they going very fast? The gestures that they make with their arms, their hands, their legs, their eye movements. Even silence tells us more than words will ever tell us. In NLP, we have a variety of skills that help us to listen with more than our ears. And we build what's called sensory acuity, being able to see and hear more by even watching somebody's eyes and finding out what, because by watching somebody's eyes, you can tell what's happening in their mind. You can see if they're getting a picture or hearing something or getting a feeling or talking to themselves, which allows you to ask more questions. And NLP also, through this sensory acuity, we have the ability to identify and notice more. Mike, I see a question from you. I'll get that question answered in just a moment. So some more tools before we really get into the meat of what I want to talk about, because we're about halfway through our time, unfortunately. I could talk about coaching for days on end, I believe. So it's also important to look at your intentions. So an intention is a desire, what you want. And I'm always curious when I'm working with coaches or people that want to be coaches, my question is this: what is your intention for the session? And also, what does your client want from the session? My intention when I'm working with my clients is to fulfill their intention, is to ask enough questions so that I know specifically what they want. If I don't know what my client wants, then I can't take them anywhere. It's all about what my client wants. Some people's intention is to fix the problem. Some people's intention is to solve it, or to cure somebody or make them feel better. I have an underlying intention that says that I want my client to walk out a little bit happier, walk out of my office a little bit happier than when they walked in. Most of the time I get that done. Sometimes I don't, because it's not up to me. I lost the desire or the need to fix or solve a long, long time ago. I think for all new coaches, we want to be good at what we do. And so that, is something that sometimes a barrier we have to get over sometimes. But I know it's not up to me. A couple months ago, somebody emailed me asking me if for weight loss, about helping them utilizing NLP with weight loss, and if I had a lifetime guarantee about weight loss. And my reply back was probably not so nice, but it was, very realistic. And it was point blank, no. I don't even have a day-long guarantee, because I'm not with somebody 24 hours a day. I can't take the donut out of their mouth. I can't stop them from doing something. What I can do is help to empower them to make better choices. Now, Mike's asked a question. He said, to do NLP, is a background in psychology required, or can anybody do it? I'm absolutely happy to say that anybody can do it. I have a degree in psychology, a doctorate, and I don't think that it helps me at all. I think that some people, it actually gets in their way. Some of the best NLPers that I've met are people that are curious about other people. If you are curious about other people, if you're curious about why people are the way they are and how to help them, you'll make a great NLPer. If you have the willingness to experiment and play and try different things, you'll be a great NLPer. So it's one of the rare things in life that you don't have to have a formal education in order to learn. And anybody can learn it. Like I said before, first and foremost, you want to learn NLP for yourself. All of the skills and tools that we teach in NLP, we try on. So for example, if we're looking at clearing a belief, for example, or changing a belief, you learn the theory about it, how it works, and then you actually practice it in class with somebody. So you're actually helping yourself and clearing some of the beliefs and patterns and things as you go along, and building new resources. Some of the best NLPers that I know don't have any formal experience or education in psychology, and I think that's actually a good thing. I think it's really a good thing. So, Mike, I hope that answered your question for you. A couple of things. Your responsibilities as a coach. This is just coming from Heidi's point of view. Your responsibilities as a coach is to create the coaching environment. It's not up to your client to create that. It's your space. It's their space that you create for them. And also to find and hold your client's desired state. What do they want? What specifically do they want? And to let go of your own beliefs and your ego. Again, I've been in this field now for going on 12 years, and I have seen so much ego within NLP, more than any other helping profession out there. And it's not needed. It's not necessary. If you come from a place of authenticity, of being truly you and helping people to the best of your ability, that's perfect. If you let go of your need to solve, if you let go of any needs to have the answer or solution, you will be a great NLPer. I also believe that it's your responsibility as a coach to hold an unshakable belief in your client's potential. Sometimes I have more of a belief in my client than they have in themselves. If I didn't have that, I wouldn't be as successful as I am. And all ego aside, as I say, let go of your ego, I'm very good at what I do as a coach and as a trainer, because I have an unshakable belief in my clients and in their own ability to learn, to change, to grow. Again, responsibility as a coach to ask questions, and also to be firmly supportive and courageous. To Thank you, Angela. I just had a comment from Angela saying, I agree with your ego. Thank you very much. Be supportive and courageous. I want to encourage my clients to be the best that they possibly can be. And sometimes that takes firmness. I don't need to be their friend. I'm there to be their coach, their therapist, to help point out to them, not through telling them, but through having them identify some of their weaknesses, their strengths, their abilities. And I think I already said before, to be authentic. Now, some of you who've been on in our courses or have been in our webinars before, you've seen this NLP formula. This NLP formula is key. This is exactly where I start with every single one of my clients. I start with present state. Where are you now? Where are you? Where have you been? How did you get there? And desired state. Where do you want to be? And that's not, I just want to be happy, but that's a specific, where specifically do you want to be? Tangible, realistic, achievable, where do you want to be? I'm also very interested in what interferences do you have. We'll chat about all this in a bit more detail in a moment. And also, what resources do you have? Interferences might be barriers or blocks or unresourceful behaviors or thoughts or habits that are unuseful. Even other people are sometimes interferences. And what resources do you have and what do you need? Resources are attitudes and attributes and beliefs and skills and behaviors. When I can know all of this information, where somebody is, where they want to go, then I can start to help them get there. Then I start to utilize my NLP skills to clear interferences and build and access resources. Let's take a look at some of these and some of the NLP tools that go along with them. When I'm identifying a person's present state and desired state, it is imperative to know where your client is, where they're coming from. If somebody walks into my office and they're having depression, I'm not going to say they are depressed because that puts a label on the person as an identity. But if they're having depression or doing depressive behaviors, that person, I'm going to treat that person differently than another person who's coming in and being depressed because they come from different places. They're in different places in life. I know so many people that just take a cookie cutter approach. There's even one NLPer in Sydney, and I won't tell you who he is, but you can probably find out if you Google prices. He actually charges you based on what your problem is. And so if you have a phobia, there's a certain charge. If you have depression, there's a certain charge. If you suffer from something else, there's a certain charge. And I think he's working with people just one time, which again goes back to I can solve your problems. We can help people be the best that we can be. I want to help teach people how to fish. I don't want to just give them fish. And to do that, it's important for me to know where they've come from, to know a bit about their history, their childhood, their upbringing, their relationship, their job, bits and pieces that tell me more about a person. Because without that, I don't know the person. I'm doing cookie cutter approach. And without a direction, that desired state or the DS that you see on the screen here, there's nowhere to go. Probably one of my favorite examples here is Alice in Wonderland. When she fell down that rabbit hole, why was she falling down a rabbit hole? Anyway, when she fell down the rabbit hole, she saw that cat. I can't say Cheshire, so I'll just call it the cat. So she saw the cat, and she asked the cat, which way do I go? And he said, well, where are you going? And she said, well, I don't know. And he said, well, then it doesn't much matter, does it? And it doesn't. If we don't have a direction, we can't get anywhere. So the skills and tools that we're utilizing with NLP to identify a present state and desired state, again, we're using rapport, we're utilizing our calibration and sensory acuity skills, our meta-model questions, a process called achievable outcome, and personal history to gather more information. NLP is created in such a way that there are tools for just about everything, and if there's not, we create them because we have the ability, we being NLPers, and even just being on the webinar today, even if you're not trained yet in NLP, but some of you are, you're NLPers. If you have an interest in it, you can be an NLPer. So we have specific tools that work with things, but we can also take a little bit of this and a little bit of this and a little bit of this and create something new. And that's that curiosity, that's that willingness to play, to experiment, to try new things. So, knowing present state and desired state, key. In fact, any problem or anything that you work with in your normal life, this is a good thing to know. Sometimes we get so stuck because we don't know what we want. We only know that we don't want what's happening now. Sometimes we have another problem, and this would be one of those interferences or blocks. I was working with a client today, and she said, you know, why is it that I am just on an emotional roller coaster? I'm just up and down, and I see so much of what I want, but I just can't get there. But why am I on this emotional roller coaster? And I said, well, that's actually probably an easy question to answer. My answer, I don't know if it's right or not, but it seemed to fit. My answer was because you have a desired state. You know what you want. You know where you want to go. You don't know how to get there. Now, how frustrating is that? And she was like, yeah, that is so true. So that's part of those interferences. So I'm looking for, while I'm gathering information about a person, any unresourceful beliefs they have or behaviors or emotions or negative thinking or dichotomous patterns like all or nothing or black and white thinking or needing to be too specific or too big picture or needing to be right or having to be in control. Any patterns that are all or nothing or one side of the spectrum, usually not so good. And these in NLP, these patterns that I'm talking about are called meta programs. Again, meta is a Greek word for beyond, and this is beyond our normal patterns. Blocks and barriers to success might be other people's influence or not having a desired state or a way to go or a past experience. Another client that I was chatting to recently, she said, you know, I read in a self-help book because they're always right and they're all real, which, you know, take them all for a grain of salt and take whatever fits best for you within anything in life. She said, you know, I read two things. She said, you know, they say get people out of your life, get rid of the people in your life that are taking up space, that are putting you down, that are making you feel bad. And don't blame your problems on other people. And she said, I'm doing both of those things. And she's in a marriage that probably doesn't work so well, and she's trying to work on that, but her partner's not doing much to help her. Now, she can't truly be herself if she's not allowed to be, or if she doesn't feel she's allowed to be. So it has a lot to do with her past experiences, but there's also other people in there. My job is not to fix it, but to help empower her to be her. So the next part of this formula is to find resources. So attitudes, attributes, skills, things, ideas, things like confidence or time or strength or self-belief or money or time out or relaxation or anything that is an attitude or an attribute or a skill or a behavior that people need and people want. Again, I'm utilizing meta-model questions and the achievable outcome and the personal history to identify what resources a person has and what a person needs. When I've got all this information, then I can start to put it together. I can start to clear interferences. Now, this is where the magic of NLP comes from. And I say magic, it's not really magic. I mean, there's no hocus pocus involved. It's all pretty theoretically sound. All of the techniques and skills of NLP were created based on modeling the excellence of a variety of therapists and figuring out what they did so well, and utilizing that sense of curiosity to put a little of this with a little of that and creating something. In fact, the Richard Bandler and John Grinder, the founders of NLP, wanted to know, you know, hey, these people, these therapists that we're studying, that we're modeling, are getting great results. You know, I wonder if we could get the same. Could we get the same results even without being trained in psychology? And you know what? They did. They probably got better results because they didn't have the theory behind it. They didn't have all the labels in it. And therefore, they got great results. And that's what created NLP. That's how NLP was born. So when we're clearing interferences, this is one of the first places that we start. We either start with clearing interferences or building resources, depending on who the person is and what they need coaching with. And we do this to either minimize an interference or eliminate the interference or change it, and even to reframe the blocks to success. Some of the NLP tools, if you're NLP trained, fantastic, you know what all this stuff is. If you're not, I apologize for a lot of the lingo, but you can, Google a lot of it. Submodalities, anchoring techniques, parts integration, 6-step reframe, timeline techniques, eliciting and changing values and strategies, neurological alignment, reframing and perceptual positions. Those are just some examples of the tools that you can utilize to clear interferences. Again, this is where traditional coaching goes astray. It doesn't have the tools to help somebody clear blocks. It has a lot of motivational tools to help somebody just push through them. But if somebody truly has a belief or a pattern or a habit or that negative self-talk that's standing in their way, you can only motivate and cheer for somebody for so long. It requires these skills to be able to clear these interferences. Now, we have a question from Nellie. It says, is there any outcome that's too big to solve, and is there any time limit for the consultation? If something's quite big that I'm working with or that my client's working with, then I might chunk it down, which means make it smaller, just put it into bite-sized pieces. And time limit, not really. I mean, I work with people in 1-hour blocks. Sometimes I'll do a 2-hour block, but that's it. And usually I work with my clients either weekly or fortnightly. Again, I see people, face-to-face, on the phone, via the internet, Skype, even just email consulting. The most I've ever seen somebody, I think, and I see him now probably about every month, every 6 weeks, is I think 20 some odd times, 21 or something, and he's completely blown out the whole average, really. And I see him for a variety of things now. It was a lot of the same stuff for probably about the first 8 sessions, and then we just started working on some of the smaller bits to help him refine his life. But most of the time, generally between about 4 and 6 1-hour sessions is how often I'm working with somebody, or the duration. And if it is too big, I just chunk it down, and we don't try and solve everything. We do it step by step. It's kind of like, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. Although I don't know why you'd want to eat an elephant. All right, so we also have resources that we want to be able to access and build. For example, if I want, and sometimes I need to do this first, there's an NLP presupposition, which is an assumption. There's a whole bunch of these assumptions that NLP is based on. And one of these assumptions says that everyone has all the resources they need to achieve their desired results. Sometimes we just have to help somebody find them. We have to sometimes help people find self-belief or find confidence or access and remember what it's like to stand up and cheer for themselves, or to ask questions, or to ask for help, or to know that they're worthy and good and kind and clever and lovable and loving. Some people forget. Some people forget because their life happens, and somewhere along the way they forget. I love NLP because we're helping people remember. Even if they don't consciously remember these things, it's in there somewhere. Everyone has all the resources they need to achieve their desired results. Sometimes with the client, I need to help build their resources first, to build a stable platform so that they can go forward before clearing and changing anything. Like for example, Nellie, if somebody has a big thing to work with, I can't just go in there and start changing beliefs and changing things, because it probably won't stay. But if I can help that person to build belief and confidence and assurity and safety and self-love, then the changes that we make probably have better opportunity of sticking. And that's a good intention to have is to have results that stick. So some of the NLP tools that I'm utilizing to access and build resources are submodalities and anchoring techniques and state elicitation and values elicitation and reframing and metaphors and perceptual positions and metaprograms. There's a lot of information in NLP. And it's fascinating to utilize with clients, but also, with ourselves. So with all of this, again, I'm working with people from all walks of life and all kinds of issues, to help them be better in life, or to get them out of the stuckness, or get them out of the rut, or to build a new business, or to get into a relationship, or to have a child, or to buy a property, or to improve their sales, or whatever they want. If somebody has a desired state, they can get there. And I fully have that belief that people have all the resources they need to achieve their desired results. Again, I've probably worked with so many different people and so many different problems that it would be easy to say that I know the solution, or I know why somebody has their problem, or what the best fix is, but I don't, because everybody's different. And I love that. One of the meta programs that I was talking about before, those dichotomous kind of things, is a sameness difference meta program. So we either have a desire to have more sameness, or things that match, or things that are a bit different. And I have a good balance of desiring sameness and difference. If sameness happens for too long, like if I see the same kind of problem for too long, or if I had to do the same thing every day, I couldn't do it for very long. I would not be very good working in a factory, because you do the same thing every single day. But because I work with different people, even if I'm working with 20 clients in a week, 10, we'll go 10. If I'm working with 10 clients in a week, if 5 clients come to me because they're depressed, I will be doing 5 different things, because each person is different. So NLP contains so many tools to help you work with other people, to understand people, to communicate more effectively. All of the skills of NLP can be utilized with others, with yourself, in business, as a parent, as a friend, as a coworker, as a boss, as a manager, as a leader. You name it, the skills are so very transferable, and there's so many of them. So I'm going to talk about the NLP trainings for a moment. If you have any other questions, please type them for me and I'll answer them. You'll see my mouse moving around a little bit because I'm just pulling down a screen. So feel free to ask any questions as I chat about learning NLP. There's 3 different levels of NLP certification training, and a couple of you who are on the webinar tonight. Hello, Angela. Just looking at some other folks who are on the webinar. Hello, Felicity. So few of you. I'm looking at the list instead of talking to you. There are 3 different levels of NLP certification. NLP practitioner certification, level 2 is master practitioner certification, and level 3 is trainer's certification. You can see on the right side of the screen the upcoming dates that we've got. What's not listed on the screen is we do have a NLP practitioner certification in Denver, Colorado in July. I believe it's the 9th to the 16th of July. That's the one that's not written on there. The training is very logical. It's very formatted. We teach in a very generative learning style, which means that we build upon the skills. So everything we're learning on and teaching on day 1, we carry over and bring into day 2. It's very hands-on, very practical. So you're learning not only the theory of how something works, but you're getting the practical applications and also the practice of utilizing it as well. Level 1 practitioner certification is great for improving your communication, for working with others, for learning what NLP is all about. This is an 8-day course, the level 1 NLP practitioner certification. And you can start working with people as a coach right after that if you choose to. I usually have a conversation with students if they desire to work with people as a coach or a therapist, um, about when to start working with it. Technically, you can, put on your business card the day you complete your NLP practitioner certification. I'm a practitioner of NLP, and you can start working with people. If you, worked in a factory beforehand, I would probably recommend, doing level 2 before working with somebody else. If you are a personal trainer and you want to start working with clients, go for it. Because you have more of that experience with people. NLP Master Practitioner is more involved. It's deeper. It's bigger processes. It's really getting into the root causes and the deeper structure of things. And then NLP Trainer's Training or Trainer Certification is then utilizing NLP on a training basis and really learning how to facilitate, negotiate, train, utilizing the skills of NLP. And it also certifies you at level 3 to train NLP at level 1 and level 2 if you want to do that. A couple of questions that we've got. Peter, hello. You're asking, does NLP work with schizophrenics? I've worked with a number of schizophrenics over the past 10 years. Most schizophrenics, most people that have schizophrenia, let me put it that way, wouldn't come and see an NLP practitioner because they usually either don't think that something's wrong or they have been told that they need to be on medication for the rest of their life, and they'll just do that. The people that I have worked with schizophrenia that they chose to come and see me versus like their parents or their spouse or a friend, I've had great success with. And really one of the first things, I'm not sure, Peter, if you're NLP trained or not, but one of the first things that I do with schizophrenics after I, get to know them is work with what's called parts integration, to integrate those 2 or more parts that are behaving differently than so-called normal, and I'm doing air quotes as I say that. So yes, NLP does work with schizophrenics, but they have to have a desired state. If there's no desired state, nothing. And David, you've asked, can you mention about your version of timeline therapy or SMT? Absolutely. SMT, we call that sequential mind technology, is kind of an amped up version of timeline work. The work of timeline or timeline therapy, which was trademarked by Tad James. Timeline work, which utilizes a person's timeline. Everybody has a timeline. Just like history has a timeline, you have one as well that marks out your past, your present, and your future. We utilize that quite a bit in NLP to find, various things like root causes and where something came from and working with your history. That was actually introduced in NLP in 1986 by Connie Ray and Steve Andreas, and they modeled it based on work of Milton Erickson, one of the people that NLP was modeled on. And it was this concept was first actually brought into psychology by Freud, who was looking at the past. In the late 80s, I believe, early 90s, Tad James and Y.O. Woodsmall wrote a book about timeline, and they trademarked the thing that says timeline therapy. So if you ever see timeline therapy, you know that that person's been trained by Tad or Tad James or somebody that has trained with Tad James. And it somehow makes it seem like it's different, timeline therapy. Every single NLP course includes timeline. We call our sequential mind technology because we bring a lot of other NLP, a lot of other psychological aspects into a little bit of positive psychology, behavioral psychology, cognitive, I think I said, just to round it out a little bit. We're utilizing all the timeline kind of aspects, again, to access the past, to put goals into the future, to clear the moment and now, to expand and shrink time, which is a fantastic tool to have on an airplane. And you're learning these skills in both practitioner and master practitioner certification. So our upcoming trainings, I know we're running out of time. I appreciate everybody sticking around for an extra couple of minutes. If you have any other questions, feel free to ask here. Here's my commercial. I have no steak knives to give you, but here's my small commercial and my thank you for being here with us tonight. Our next courses are Sydney. We're having an NLP practitioner. It's about 6 weeks away, 13th to the 20th of May. In Denver in July, and in Singapore in September. If you're interested in learning more and taking NLP to the next step, email me, just info@nlpworldwide.com, and we can have a chat in the next couple of days to see how NLP fits in, how you want to utilize NLP, and how NLP can be beneficial in your life. If you know you want to do the training and enroll in the next 7 days, save $500 on your tuition. Take a look at nlpworldwide.com, and there's a button at the top, a menu of tuition and schedule, and you can see the tuitions in any of the different places in the world. Sherry, you've asked a question, do you run any sessions in Brisbane? At the moment, no. We're only running NLP training in these 3 places, Sydney, Denver, and Singapore. If you are traveling from interstate, however, we do offer an extra $500 discount to help cover things. So that would mean, Sherry, if you enroll in the next 7 days, there's actually a $1,000 discount for you. So that might be beneficial. I really do recommend traveling. If you find a trainer and somebody that you feel is good for you, then I would travel. Angela, thank you. Angela's put her hand up and say it's well worth the travel. She's completed her practitioner and master practitioner training with us, and was going to be doing our Meta Coach training, which is coming up starting on Friday, but we'll miss you. Any discounts for the master's practitioner training? David's asking, David, if you've already completed your practitioner certification, we would love to have you in our next master prac. And same thing, we'll give you a $500 off of the next master practitioner. If you have not yet done practitioner and want to do the bundle of prac and master prac, we have discounts for that as well. Another question from Sherry. You guys are good tonight with your questions. Sherry said, I've seen Chris Howard a couple of times. How does your training vary to his? My answer to that is substantially. In our practitioner, master practitioner trainers training, we have a maximum of 20 students. I love small groups. If I don't know where somebody's from, if I don't know if they've got kids or what they do for a living or a little bit about them, then I'm just giving information, and that's not fun. Lorelei and I love to know our students, to welcome them. It's like, when we get together, when I see Angela is next, it's like having a small family reunion. It's great. So it's very different than any of the big kind of trainings or the Chris Howard trainings, who trains, hundreds or thousands of people at the same time. We also utilize the skills of NLP in our coaching practices, and so we have very hands-on practical skills. And so many trainers, including Chris Howard, don't. They train NLP, but they don't actually utilize it in that hands-on way. So make sure that if you are going to be doing NLP certification training, that you actually get a trainer like ourselves who utilize the skills on a day-to-day basis. And one more thing, if you haven't yet seen it, our new book is out. It's actually been, one of our colleagues said this is the best NLP book since the early 90s. It's called 30 Days to NLP. We actually wrote it in a month with the intention that people could read 1 chapter every day and learn more about NLP in 30 days. It's not meant to teach you NLP, but to help to share more about NLP with you. This is actually what we deem now as our pre-reading material for our NLP practitioner certification. And we have a new website set up for this, 30daystoNLP.com. And you can either purchase the book to be sent to you, or you can download it in PDF format, or if you have an e-reader, then you can download it for your e-reader as well, your iPad or your iPhone or your Kindle or your Nook or whatever they're called. So head over there and have a look at that. Again, the email address is on the right-hand side, info@nlpworldwide.com. We would love to have you join us in one of our upcoming pracs or master pracs or even trainers training. And if you have any other questions offline, feel free to shoot an email over to me and I'll get back to you. And it's been a pleasure hanging out with you this evening, and I look forward to a little bit more of it. Thank you all very much and have a fantastic evening. I hope you'll take away a bunch of skills with you and continue your journey in NLP.